Mental illness has been a recurring theme in cinema since movies' inception, with films exploring the impact of mental illness on individuals and societies. This video essay explores the evolving depictions of mental illness in two notable films, Joker and The Man Who Laughs. These films have been chosen because they are from different time periods and show the difference of visual and stigmatized changes of mental illness in film over time. The Man Who Laughs, directed by Paul Lenny, was released in the United States in 1928 during the silent era of film. Based on Victor Hugo's novel, it follows character Gwynplaine, a disfigured man forced to hide his deformity of a permanent grin carved into his face. In stark contrast, Todd Phillips's Joker, released in 2019, delves into the complex psyche of Arthur Fleck, a failed stand-up comedian and a mentally ill individual living in a gritty, crime-ridden version of Gotham City that is beset by poverty, corruption, and social inequality. By comparing these two films, a transformation can be traced in portraying mental illness, examining the differences of cultural context, technological advancements, and the changing understanding of mental health. To gain insight into the depiction of mental illness in these films, it is essential to examine the social context in which they were released. During the 1920s, when The Man Who Laughs premiered, the societal understanding of mental health during this period was limited, leading to the perpetuation of prevalent misconceptions and prejudices. Released shortly after World War I, The Man Who Laughs reflects the experiences of the so-called lost generation, referring to the young men who suffered abuse and disfigurement at the hands of those in power. The character of Gwynplaine in the film is influenced by this historical context, as soldiers returning from war often face psychological and physical disabilities. Mustard gas exposure, for instance, caused facial decay and exposed teeth, which inspired Gwynplaine's perpetual smile. Gwynplaine's disfigurement in the film is portrayed as a reflection of the moral decay of his society, highlighting the anxieties prevalent at the time. Furthermore, the film perpetuates the belief that mental illness is contagious and hereditary. Gwynplaine's father is depicted as insane before his execution, implying that his madness has been passed down to Gwynplaine. This notion of mental illness as an inherited affliction was widely held during that era, and it is evident in the film's portrayal of Gwynplaine's condition. As Cynthia Erb explains in Psycho Foucault and the Post-War Context of Madness, a post-World War II interest in psychiatry and mental illness emerged, leading to films exploring therapy and institutions. The rise of interest influenced films such as Joker. Moreover, during the film's release, there was a rise of the incel phenomenon, a subculture of individuals who define themselves as unable to form romantic or sexual relationships despite desiring them. Discussions in incel forums often manifest misogyny, racism, and even endorsement of violence against women and sexually active individuals. Notably, the actions of James Egan Holmes, a well-recognized incel, was the perpetuator of the 2012 Colorado shooting during the movie premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, which serves as an inspiration for aspects of Joker. Holmes arrived at his trial with dyed orange hair, bearing a resemblance to Arthur Fleck's green-haired transformation in the film. Both Arthur Fleck and James Holmes are depicted as incel men who struggle to form meaningful connections with others. These young men resort to violent behaviors, which they direct towards a society that has isolated them. The release of Joker was accompanied by concerns of potential violence and threats, evidenced by the FBI and Department of Homeland Security issuing a joint intelligence bulletin ahead of the movie's opening weekend. This atmosphere of fear reflects elements of the film, as Arthur Fleck gains a following of like-minded individuals, leading to mass chaos and murders. The film draws on the German Expressionist movement, characterized by stylized visuals, heightened emotions, and a foreboding atmosphere. This aesthetic is evident in the film's use of shadow and light, distorted camera angles, and highly stylized sets. The Man Who Laughs creates a somber and haunting atmosphere, mirroring the protagonist. The film's gothic and expressionistic visual style, accompanied by exaggerated facial expressions, effectively conveys Gwynplaine's anguish and isolation. Symbolic motifs, such as the permanent grin, are powerful visual metaphors for his inner turmoil. In contrast, Joker adopts a psychologically nuanced approach to portray mental illness. Joaquin Phoenix's exceptional performance brings depth and authenticity to the character of Arthur, capturing the intricacies of mental health struggles. The film employs contemporary filmmaking techniques to immerse the audience in Arthur Fleck's deteriorating mental state. The film incorporates a gritty and realistic aesthetic. Close-ups of Joker's face effectively convey his emotional turmoil and the surrounding chaos. Handheld camera work adds a feeling of instability and unpredictability, enhancing the disorientating experience. The film also uses color to significant effect, with muted colors and a desaturated palette helping to create a sense of bleakness and hopelessness. The two films also share similarities in terms of their use of mise-en-scène. Both films are set in urban environments, with Joker set in Gotham City and The Man Who Laughs set in London. These settings are portrayed as dark and oppressive, with dilapidated buildings and dirty streets symbolizing decay and neglect. The costume design in both films effectively communicates the characters' sense of otherness and their rejection by society, exemplified by the Joker's clown makeup and Gwynplaine's disfigured face. By employing distinct aesthetics and utilizing various cinematic techniques, these films effectively convey the complexities and impact of mental illness on individuals and their surroundings. The visual elements contribute to the overall narrative and provide audiences with a deeper understanding of the psychological dimensions explored within the films. Stuart Hall, the renowned cultural theorist, presented a compelling perspective on the representation of mental health in film, shedding light on the social and ideological implication it carries. According to Hall, representation is not the mere reflection or transparent reflection of social reality. It actively participates in the construction of meaning and the shaping of social identities. In the context of mental health, this means that cinematic portrayals not only reflect prevailing cultural attitudes, but also contribute to the formation of public perception and understanding of mental illness. Hall emphasizes the power dynamics at play in representation, recognizing that dominant social groups often frame mental health narratives, which can perpetuate stereotypes and stigmatization. He calls for critical engagement with filmic representations of mental health to challenge these established norms and foster a more nuanced understanding of diverse human experiences. Although The Man Who Laughs elicits sympathy for Gwynplaine's tragic circumstances, it falls short in providing a deeper understanding of his mental state, relying more on spectacle rather than psychological exploration. This approach reinforces the perception of mental illness as an object of pity, rather than an opportunity for empathy and understanding. Conversely, Arthur's primary objective in Joker is to seek revenge against those who have wronged him, resorting to initiating riots and targeting specific individuals, such as Randall, a co-worker who betrayed him, and Murray Franklin, a talk show host who publicly humiliated him.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash!
Call the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get!
Call the police.
You get what you fucking deserve!
The film suggests that Arthur's violent outbursts are a manifestation of his frustration with a society that has rejected him. While Joker does not imply that all individuals with mental illness are violent or dangerous, it establishes a connection between Arthur's mental illness and his violent actions. In conclusion, the analysis of The Man Who Laughs and Joker reveals a progressive trajectory in the portrayal of mental illness in film, with a shift from sensationalism and stigmatization to nuanced and empathetic explorations. These films demonstrate the evolving nature of mental illness representations, highlighting the need for accurate and compassionate depictions that challenge societal stigmas and foster understanding. Joker stands as a significant example for this shift, as it confronts audiences with the complex reality of mental health struggles and prompts critical reflections on the systematic factors contributing to such conditions.